Now, what is mental health? One of the other and the most important factor that affects the mental health in students and especially in the youngsters. Fear of failures,
Stress,
anxiety, the student's well-being, the mental well-being.
that's when it becomes a factor into mental health imbalance.
Yes.
Hello and welcome back to our podcast. This is episode 2, and again, I'm Elisa, your host. Today we'll be talking about something that affects all of us, mental health, specifically with students. So today, I am here with our special guest, Ms. Shrija, who has deep insights with mental health, and she will give us tips into taking better care of ourselves. So, hi, Ms. Shrija. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes. So, you want to say anything before we start?
No, I'm good. I think mental health itself is such a sensitive subject.
Yes, exactly.
And the more we talk about it, it's never over.
Yeah,
so
that's actually
very deep.
True, yeah.
This afternoon when we were also talking, I mean, we couldn't stop talking about this subject, right?
Yeah, that's true.
This is
It's
an
actually-
intense subject.
and deep. It's subjective.
Especially because we come from an education background.
Yeah.
And we deal with it every day.
There's
so we
also
understand.
instances where it's controversial.
Absolutely.
To talk about.
Now, since we are only sticking and we are only limiting ourselves to talk about mental health in students.
Yes.
Now, what is mental health? If anybody, I mean, people have different versions of mental health.
Yeah,
they have
like-
different definitions,
Yes.
and sometimes it's such a taboo. People they alarm themselves when they hear, oh, mental health.
Yeah,
it's very alarming.
exactly.
But according to me, I think mental health is quite normal, and everybody should understand the. It's common. It's a very normal thing in each and every one of us,
As
right?
I said earlier, it affects everyone.
Everyone, the whole population. But because we're limiting to students, we will talk more about what leads to mental
the
health
factors
imbalance.
basically that causes mental
health imbalance, and how can we cope up with that in our day-to-day lives. So just to keep it very short and crisp and precise. Now, what is mental health in student is basically the social, psychological, their challenges, physical, of course, their daily challenges to how they navigate in their life.
Every day, yes.
And, it's about how you feel, how you think, how you behave.
Yes.
Act. You see? So it's all about that, and how each one of us think differently, feel differently, and behave differently, right? Students, academic pressure, the grades, fear of failures, stress, anxiety. There are so many things that comes up with the academic pressure, right? And that somehow affects the student's well-being, the mental well-being.
That's when it becomes a factor into mental health imbalance.
Yes. One of the other and the most important factor that affects the mental health in students and especially in the youngsters. Can you guess what is it? It's a very common thing.
Factors?
Yes, and something that people can't live without. Social
pressure.
No, those all contribute though. But something
social media.
Yes, social media is something that has a big, immense integral effect in the students' mental health.
I totally agree with this one. As someone who's...
We just can't be without social media nowadays, right?
That's
especially.
right.
So,
literally right now my phone is here beside me.
Your phone is here. See, and I don't have a phone.
example.
I am a millennial. Maybe that is why. So that's how it is, Ellie. You understand? And we are so open to media now. Like we are in a
Everything is there.
Yeah, we're in a digital world. And as student or as a young person, I would always want to compare myself with what my peers are doing and what my friends, the relationships. So there's so much of a lot. Again, relating to a social pressure, to a mental imbalance.
Yes.
What else can cause? So, of course, another thing is the social relationships that you spoke about.
That's true.
friends, family, not very happy with the surroundings.
Relationships,
yeah. See, you're talking out of experience, I see. And then financial pressure.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about students in the education segment. Most of the students avail a loan facility for their studies.
Yeah. Boarding house.
Yes.
Or international students.
That happens, taking a loan. Of course, the financial pressure comes along with that. And then the part-time jobs, they have to cope with the part-time jobs, study, academic pressure, grades, the bank loans, the EMIs.
Yes.
There is so much. The friends, the social media, the comparisons, the relationships.
Social media,
There's so much. And this gets even grave when there is an international transit. Imagine if or any transit, if anybody has to move from one place to another, for a higher education.
Homesickness also comes,
You see? So there are so many factors that affects the mental well-being of any individual, especially because we are restricting ourselves to students. The students. Now, how do we cope up with this?
Exactly. My question as well.
You see? Because I read your mind.
Yeah, a lot of people will probably ask, like, okay, you're tackling about mental health, well-being, but how you talk about it, you can make it into like how we can solve it. Like if you're facing, like, for example, maybe as
a student is academically pressurized, or
anxiety.
Now the most anxiety, overwhelming.
Depression.
That's another big topic that we'll have to talk about, and that's a completely different segment. But how do we cope up with this as a student in an academic environment? Is very simply put together, Ellie, I would say communication. Number one is reach out.
Yes, as everyone says, communication is the key.
Reach out to people, talk to people.
Yes,
if you're under stress, if you're not comfortable in any of the environment, feel free to reach out to people. And I think most of the schools, or all the schools and universities and colleges, have a school counselor.
Yes, counselors,
Yes, so you need to reach out to people to seek advice, to seek guidance. It's the first step. But most of the students, is what I have seen, they always shy away from expressing themselves.
This one, actually, and maybe like one of the factors, as a student, I can say one of the factors why students are hesitant to reach out or make the first step is maybe they think of open-mindedness. Also, Ellie,
they are scared of being judged.
That's the first.
They're scared. What will he or she think about me? I mean, should I or shouldn't I? So they're scared of being judged. So that's one thing that doesn't let them initiate to take the first step to go forward. But I think that is, if that first step is taken, and if you speak, if you approach the right person and just open your heart out, I'm sure there should be, I won't say it might just eradicate the whole problem, but you will find some ways that could help you navigate through the solution. Baby steps. Therapy sessions around them, but again, not all the society.
Not everyone is open to this.
And they don't accept therapy as
that's true.
For them it's a disease, but it's not a disease. It's not an illness. It's not a disease. It's a situation that we are in. It's a psychological situation that we are in. It's and I think we can deal with such a tough, but not impossible.
Especially nowadays, where this topic is very, as I said, controversial. So not everyone is open to the fact that this can be.
But also times have changed, Ellie. Also times have, like 5 years back, or 10 years back, mental health and well-being was not being even discussed. But now you see there are so many therapists and so many corporates taking steps. There are so many awareness sessions happening. Like we are doing a podcast on mental health and well-being for students. So I think times have really changed.
With regards
society is
to-
a little accepting. They are moving towards acceptance.
Yes.
So I think times have changed, and it will change. There's a slight little population who still who still are not they have not accepted it, but I think that should change with time, over time.
I do think that's
So I think moving on and approaching the therapies should be okay for I as a student, or for
Yes.
anybody
Yes.
who's a student. Family support,
yes,
of
that's
course.
one of the biggest things that we need to need to be open about.
Yeah,
Like,
family support. Always reach out to
support,
family
yes.
first. Speak your heart out. Discuss things. So family support, your friends, your peers
Yes.
can support.
Yes.
What else?
Yeah.
How else can we cope up with this? Awareness, of course. A
Yes,
lot of
and I think it's better to go into healthy coping mechanisms instead
Yeah.
of going to the bad habits. I mean, isolation or procrastination, for example, some substance use. Yes.
yeah, that difficult. Like I said, all these are personal choices
Yes.
made, right? And
That's true.
to get away is also a personal choice, and to say no is also a personal
Yes.
choice. So yes, of course, these are some of the factors that leads to a mental health imbalance.
Oh, yeah.
And how can we overcome is my first and foremost, always the only thing that I say is communicate.
Yes.
Because
I love that,
sometimes,
actually. That's very
my personal experience, Ellie, there have been times when, sometimes even should I even discuss this with family? Will they be okay? But there are times when I've just discussed it with a random stranger because he or she won't judge me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's actually
that's the best
true.
thing
That's
to do.
very true,
When you have somebody who you don't judge and you just say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what, what would you do? I'm
Yeah.
suffering from it. Okay, bye, thank you.
Yeah,
And
bye-bye.
the next day I don't see
Yeah.
the person, but I've got my answer,
Yes,
right?
there's a light feeling,
Yeah.
after that
Yeah.
opening.
Yes. So I
sharing.
think that's the most important.
Communication is just the key, guys.
Yeah. What more about the students? Let's think more out of the box on the students' well-being. And we at Vibe Education have a student experience officer.
Yes.
Who is only into ensuring
yes.
who only ensures the
Students'
students'
well-being.
Yeah. So I think who better than us can talk about it. And
One very good factor. about
see,
it.
so there's a special department only to ensure the students' experience have
have a
been
team.
well taken care of.
We also have a support team who is there for any queries, inquiries, or yes. Vibe is very open.
Yes.
And with that, I can say that our topic for today is very well discussed.
And I think this is too less of a time, but we could discuss when we have a lot
Yes,
of.
but considering that it's a very big topic and it
Vast.
covers a lot,
Vast.
it covers a lot of things, factors, situations,
People.
exactly. We will cut here, and maybe next segment we can talk about it more, only here in our podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and see you on our next episode. Bye bye.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Ms. Shrija.
Thank you.